So the next question I have for you then is, what are some of the common mistakes that you see entrepreneurs make when trying to use social media for marketing purposes?
So the most common mistake is that they are not creating a strategy first. And I made the same mistake. So I basically am speaking from experience when I say this. When that first client came to me, right, and said, those real estate agents, how much would you charge? I just dove in and I started tweeting and posting and, and thinking that it was just put as much out there as you possibly can and see what sticks. And it took some time for me to get to a point to realize that I wasn't really being that effective because we didn't really know who were we really trying to get these customers in front of. What was that target market? And so once I recognized that we were so much more effective when we started step one at looking at who is the customer that we want to be getting in front of, and not only acknowledging who that customer is, but how much of a competition is there in that target market as well. So from a supply and demand perspective, finding a market that is actually going to help that customer be able to effectively get their message in front of that customer. So, I say a lot of times that the biggest challenge that most companies have when they are marketing themselves, regardless of whether it's social media or anything, they are trying to market themselves to everyone. And right. So I kind of equate that to the ocean. It's like a massive body of water, right? So they are a very small fish at that point, trying to market themselves to everyone. They're floating around just like their competition is in that same very vast body of water. So what I like to do is I like to make my customers a big fish. I can't fatten them up, but what I can do is reduce the body of water, right?
We don't want to get fattened up.
No, exactly. I'm not going to fatten you up. But I can make you a big fish by just reducing that body of water. And so I equate that to a well, which is very narrow and very deep. And the way you can build your well is by getting very, very narrow and very targeted in a customer that is not in the ocean, right? So for example, I had a chiropractor that hired me in the Los Angeles area to help him increase his business. And so I sat down with him and I said, okay, who are you marketing yourself to? And he was like, hello, spine, back, neck, do you not know what I do? And I was like, okay.
Anybody with a back.
Huh?
Anybody with a back.
Yeah, exactly. And so I said, all right, okay. So that's kind of everyone. And, how's that working for you? And so I said, well, that's your problem because you are really trying to market yourself. So even if it's print, radio, social media, it's just, those are other marketing tools that are either going to be effective for you or not effective for you based on who are you trying to get your message in front of. Is it a market that is massive? So you're going to have to spend some dollars, right, to compete with your competition who might have deep pockets, or you get much more focused and narrow and find a market that has a demand for the product or service you provide, but the competition isn't quite as saturated. So in spending time with the chiropractor, I discovered that he had actually been treating women between the ages of 55 and 75 that were suffering from fibromyalgia. Oh, wow. So that's a well, right? Yeah. So we acknowledged that he could provide this service to this market, but then what I needed to do is go and look at the demand side. So how much competition would be showing up online if I was to try and position him in front of that particular market? And was there enough of a demand in that market for us to even invest our time and his dollars, right? If it's maybe 10 or 20 people on a monthly basis that are looking for services for fibromyalgia, I'd be like, yeah, that's really not enough. Let's keep looking. But not only was there a significant number of women suffering from fibromyalgia that were searching on the internet for a solution, there were no chiropractors that were showing up in that space. It was all your traditional WebMD, medicinal pharmaceutical companies. So what we did is he put together a special offer, $100 a month, unlimited treatment for these women. We created a single custom landing page, and I used all the top social media tools to drive traffic to that particular page. And he tripled his business. So I didn't stop him from marketing everybody else as well, right? But to go back to your question, that's the biggest challenge that most businesses have, is that they say, oh, I'm a chiropractor. I provide service to this population. Let me market to that entire population, as opposed to trying finding wells that are in that population that allows you then to get very strategic, right? Because then you're understanding what are the words that that market is then using online to search for your product or service. So you got to come at it kind of from the other direction, right? We always think we know the pain we're solving or the words we want to use online to market. But until we actually think of it from the customer's perspective, like no one was looking for a chiropractor directly when the fibromyalgia women looking for a solution.
Exactly.
But then once we introduced that as an option, then he was able to become a solution for that pain. So that strategy, again, is going back to understanding who are you trying to get your message in front of? What are the words that you need to use to get in front of that market, understand their pain, the problem that you're solving, according to them. Then you craft your message and find that particular market on the social media tools to get in front of them.
Yeah.
So step one is strategy.
Yeah, and the target market is huge. I mean, that's because we know we all, as business owners, you only have a finite amount of resources and money, so
Right.
you got to really tune to your message and really know who you're targeting.
Yeah.
What about? I get this a lot too. Is about just bringing in some teenager, some high schooler that uses social media because they're on their iPhones all the time. What do you say about bringing in teens or
Right.
just because they use social media?
Born with a cell phone in their hands.
Yeah.
Again, I don't have any problem with that as long as they have a strategy, right? I mean, you can hire anybody to execute a strategy that you have in place. I think they are much more familiar with the tools and the products, but at the same time, you also want to find skill set that is familiar with being creative, writing good ad copy, having the ability to follow and implement your strategy, to measure the results, look at reporting, understand demographics, understand, people's behavior, psychographics, all that stuff. It all comes into play when you have to execute the strategy on the social media side. So if that person that is a teenager has the ability to do that, then yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's not just because they're on it all the time that's going to be this that you're looking for. Yeah. Right?
So it all boils down to you still have to develop a strategy, right?
It does. It always does. I know. Like, realty is location, location, location. I'm strategy.
So that's good because I run into that a lot. There's we're just bringing some teenager because they're always on social media. I said, well, yeah, but using it for business and marketing purposes is totally different, right?
Yes,
so,
exactly. There is a but. Right. Yeah.
Well, good. Thanks for that. Those answers to that question.
Sure. Yeah.